So I saw this, Sammy. There was I don't want to call out who it was. This person knows who they are. They're like, they were looking at some of the videos of everything that was going on at the Wiener Circle. And they're like, all these people lining up for just a hot dog. You got to understand what happened in Chicago on Tuesday was more than just getting a free hot dog. I think this shows how much Chicago desires to have a winning football team. This wasn't about getting a free hot dog. The free hot dog wasn't a big part of it. It was a community event. It was an opportunity to come together. It was an opportunity to celebrate something with the Chicago Bears. And I think this just shows like how badly these fans want to win football games. Because I don't believe that we would have gotten this in a lot of cities. I know living out here in Southern California, there would have been nothing. There maybe no. This wasn't about the hot dogs. This wasn't about the Wieners Circle. This was about wanting to celebrate the Chicago Bears. That's why it resonated with so many people. This just wasn't a cheap publicity stunt. People truly want to be a part of a winning football organization. The Wiener Circle, they definitely played a part of it. They're a Chicago institution. They played their role perfectly. But I think this was a community event. This was like, honestly, like you could have, the hot dog, not even a big part of it. It was all about wanting to be a part of a winner, wanting to celebrate Caleb Williams, the 4 touchdowns, and what we believe can be the future of the Chicago Bears. That's what today was all about. It was not about free hot dogs. Believe me, when you saw the photos and the people who are waiting, it wasn't randos, it wasn't hipsters from Roscoe Village just showing up for a free. These were ardent Bear fans, and that should just illustrate how much this city truly deserves a winner. And Sammy, with that, let's go ahead and start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Adam Rank.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank. It is Tuesday, which means it is time for collaboration with Just Another Year Chicago, which means our guy, Nick Rohde, is going to be joining us here right now. Let's bring him onto the show. So great to have you here. Hey, dude. Great win over the Dallas Cowboys. How you living right now?
I'm on cloud 9 still from this past Sunday. And I got to say the week is so much better. You know, the weather in Chicago hasn't been the greatest over the last couple of days. I was like, I don't care. I don't care if I don't have an umbrella. I don't care if work sucks. I am just in a great mood because the Bears won on national television. Even if it wasn't on national television, the Bears won, and they won in a respectful way, and they absolutely crushed Matt Eberflus. And that's probably the biggest thing for me, was just absolute belt to the ass right there. Done. Matt Eberflus was cooked by that Bears offense, and I was pumped about it.
You know, it's funny, outside of the people here on the West Coast, this was a national game. People getting an opportunity to see this offense cooking, really going out there and being unleashed. Caleb Williams, 4 touchdowns. Listen, we've seen this in the past. We've seen Mitch Trubisky throw 6 touchdown passes against the Buccaneers. Justin Fields had his games, even last year, where in that game in London, where the Bears beat the Jacksonville Jags. Why is this different? Why does this feel different?
Because what felt different to me is that they almost won at Soldier Field during week 1, also on national television. And then they came back after getting obliterated by the Lions. And in my personal opinion, I watched them, like, they're so mentally down. How are they going to be able to come back from this? They open up that first drive and they go 0 for 3 after receiving the ball. And I was like, here we go. They're just falling flat on their face. There's no confidence. What are we going to do? The next drive, you get Colston Loveland going. then it's like, okay, now we got something going here. And then the flea flicker happened. And I was like, oh, the Bears are back, baby. Like right there, it went from absolutely below the deepest point on the earth to I was on top of Mount Everest right there. I was jumping around my studio. I'm going crazy. It was a feeling that Bears fans haven't had in a while. And it was a better feeling than when we beat the Packers at Lambeau. And that says a lot because we overcame so much of what this team has struggled with the last couple of years. And that's mentally beating themselves. They were pedal to the metal. They did struggle a little bit in that second quarter where Dallas started to come back, quick adjustments, and it just was off to the races in the second half. So what a win overall, but it was fantastic to say the least.
It's funny. You talk about the opening drive. I actually missed it. I was sitting there. We're waiting all day to watch this game and do whatever. And then we're at the place where we usually watch games here in Southern California. And right as the game kicked off, somebody felt that was the appropriate time to walk up to me and be like, hey, why did you ban me on Twitter? Why did you block me on Twitter? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. Why did I block you? Like, tell me. Like, no, I was just talking. I'm like, okay. He was trying to sell some sad story. We were trying to get to the bottom of that, but I'm like, there's a game going on that I've been waiting all day for. But whatever. We got that settled. Would you say, though, when you talk about like last year, obviously the win in Lambeau was significant, but we knew at that point we were probably going to have a different coaching staff. Do you believe it's the coaching, which is the biggest difference with all the other examples that I laid out there a moment ago?
Totally. I mean, just watching Ben Johnson on the sideline and how he handled it was completely locked in the entire time. 100% not going anywhere. Like if there was something wrong, he was talking to Caleb. He was talking to someone on the sideline constantly. And that's what I like to have seen. Eberflus just let guys fly past him, kind of didn't really care. This time, Ben Johnson's grabbing people. He's saying what is on his mind, what he saw. The communication with him and Caleb was very strong. But then that post-game locker room, the intensity, the guys cheering. I mean, they definitely blanked out a lot of things that were said during the post-game locker room. Shout out to George McCaskey probably for doing that one. But the Bears the energy was electric just watching how Ben Johnson held himself accountable. Post-game press conference, I think the best thing that he said the entire time was that we're still behind the 8 ball here. It's fun tonight, but we have to go back to House Hall tomorrow and get back to work. And it's like, okay, like this guy is locked in. He wasn't even totally satisfied that he won the game. His first career win as a head coach. Bears crushed the Cowboys, national television. Caleb comes out and now was at the time tied in the NFL for most passing touchdowns. And you're still like, nope, we still got more to do. Kind of reminded me of when Kobe Bryant was like, job's not finished.
Yeah.
Like, yes. That mentality right there. I loved every second of it. So Ben Johnson, just getting everyone around him. I was listening to it earlier this morning. It was best said. Ben Johnson unwired this Chicago Bears team and rewired it in a matter of 5 months. And you can already see how bought in the team is, how electric they are, how determined they are to be better. And we've seen that week in and week out. But this one, week 3, third time's a charm. Bears looked absolutely locked in. And it was an awesome job by Ben Johnson and staff.
For those of you who missed it, we do have a little bit of the sound. Sammy, can we roll part of the sound that we have here of Ben Johnson addressing the team?
You know what I got. You know what I got. Repeat after me now. Good, better, best. Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Never let it rest. Good gets better. Good gets better. And you better get better. And you better get better. Bears on 3. 1, 2, 3.
How do you not get fired up listening to that? Like I get chills. I just think about it, especially when you, I know Brendan Shagrew was the one who went out there and unearthed Matt Eberflus. And I didn't even want to add it to the show. Unearthed Matt Eberflus addressing the Bears after his first win in a rain-soaked Soldier Field in that win over the 49ers years ago. It's completely night and day. Like I'm ready to run through a wall for Ben Johnson right now. How about you?
I almost did run through a wall. I literally probably almost ripped off the door hinges from my door right there because I just was running around. I'm on my rooftop, just like screaming like we won the Super Bowl. My neighbors are texting me like, is everything okay? I'm like, did you not just watch this Bears game? Like, we won. Like, that's a big deal. I absolutely, Ben Johnson just has that motivation, and we're bought in as fans just seeing that. But it's the fact that the guys are bought in on it. The coaching staff is bought in on it. I mean, you saw everyone in that locker room quiet, respectful when talking. And when a guy, Caleb's been here longer. I'm not saying he's the boss. Ben Johnson is clearly the boss. But Caleb Williams stops everyone and says, I'm giving this right back to you, Ben. And then everyone just kind of mosh pitting him like Brendan did, which I thought was hilarious because you got the aura flus of the hair and the beard and everything. He just looked like he was working out in the rain for which he was, but he just looked sad. He didn't look confident. He didn't look like an NFL head coach. I was like, yeah, this is what exactly we needed. And I want to add on to that because I saw some comments about it on Twitter. People were like, oh, this is Matt Nagy kind of vibes all over again.
Oh, God.
I said, no, this is not. Like Matt Nagy brought, the club dub. That was a lot of fun. But that was just players dancing around. The fact that they're all bought in and they're grabbing each other, they're supporting each other, they're agreeing, they're listening. And that's the other thing, too. Guys are all paying attention when each other talk, whether that's on the field, off the field. You can just see the amount of respect everyone has as a teammate. And that's what's so much different about this culture. And I still want to run through a wall even 3 days after the Bears win.
Yeah, are they listening with their eyes? And you could tell they certainly were. Everybody was locked in, ready to go. I didn't even think about the whole thing with Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy, who I like and I think is a nice human being, I don't think we had that kind of intensity. It was kind of like Matt Nagy's post-game locker room celebration always felt like we just won a fantasy football game, whereas where Ben Johnson on Sunday, it felt like we won an actual football game. And there's a huge difference. And if you understand what I'm getting at right there, then you should understand. He did have some other things to say this week, too. He did go up there and, address the media in his postgame. I think this was on Monday or so. But he did talk about Caleb Williams. I'd like to dive into this sound really quick, if we could, Sam.
The offensive line protects like that. It's a lot easier to play from the pocket. I thought 0 sacks. We had a very clean pocket for the most part. That's a starting point. And so he's got the ability to escape and extend and all that. But man, if we can keep him in there, our playmakers are some dynamic route runners that we can get the ball to him in space. And so I think he saw when he plays on time, he's trusting the hitches within his drops, and we can be an explosive offense that way. So there's a lot of ways that Caleb Williams can hurt you. And like I said, when we have pass protection like we had yesterday, that certainly helps.
I want to dive into Caleb Williams here for a second. I have continued to be impressed. I am not one of those doom seekers who over the first 2 weeks was trying to find fault with everything that he did. I feel like we've seen a natural progression over the last 3 weeks. Obviously, Sunday was the culmination of a lot of that. What did you see out of Caleb Williams?
I saw he was much more comfortable. Ben Johnson said it too. Just leaving the huddle, he looked more confident walking up to the line. He knew where the ball was supposed to go or the options that he had. Ben Johnson has continuously prepared him week over week, and we've seen that his completion percentage has gone up every single week, even though it's only been 1.5% per week. It's better than it was week one. Along with that, too, he has 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. I mean, we used to pray for times like this from a Bears quarterback. I mean, Rex Grossman, 23-20 during the Bears Super Bowl season. I know that was a different time in football. Jay Cutler, I think it was 28-12, and he threw 4 in the final game of the season, which we were like, we're going to have a single-digit interception season, and then he did that, which shout out to Jay Cutler right there. I still love smoking Jay at the end of the day, but 100%. Really, Caleb Williams just looks so much better out there, and I want to also continue to give a shout-out to the offensive line because it is true. Giving him time, he is a solid, and he's a young quarterback that has every trait that could be eventually an elite quarterback. I mean, right now he's putting up MVP type numbers. He's on pace. If he keeps this exact stat line where he's going, average up over the first 3 games, if he keeps this up, he's going to have 4,051 passing yards, first time in Bears history, a 4,000-yard passer. Even though I called Eric Kramer yesterday and said, hey, he's potentially joining some elite company, he might be the first one. He goes, if he does it in 16 games, it's more impressive because I did it in 16. And I was like, I respect that. But he's on pace for 39 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That right there is MVP stats. That's at least all pro stats. That's an argument right there. And we're only in week 3. He still is going to have bumps in the road, though. We need to expect that. He's not going to be perfect like this game going forward. This was not the greatest Dallas defense to go against, and he has the Raiders this upcoming week, which are going to be a struggle too. But the offensive line giving him time. Braxton Jones having arguably his best game of his career, allowing no pressures, no hits, was the 3rd-ranked pass effective blocker in the NFL. Joe Thuney got number 2. So the left side looked fantastic against the Dallas Cowboys. From the right side, only 1 penalty on Darnell Wright. That's a big improvement considering he already has 7 on the year. And then only 3 pressures from the right, or 3 pressures from the right side, and not even a sack. So no sacks. It was an awesome day overall by the Bears offensive line to give Caleb that opportunity. And once they continue to progress, and Ben Johnson said it before the season, it was probably going to take 6 to 7 weeks, probably after the bye, for this offensive line to gel well. It's week 3, and they did a really good job against still a respected Dallas defense, let's say, because they did do a good job against the Philadelphia Eagles, but they've continuously gotten worse. So I think overall the offense has looked awesome to watch, and Caleb's progression is only going to get better with that offensive line.
You know, it's funny too, is I started Caleb Williams in my fantasy league. And speaking of fantasy football, Crown Champs is the way to go in fantasy football. Why just win your league when you can rule it? We're talking about Crown Champs. They dropped the hottest thing that fantasy football has ever seen. We're talking about championship crowns, rings, scepters, robes, all the things that make you fantasy football royalty. Too often you play fantasy football, you get a cheap plastic trophy, perhaps a little GG in the group chat. Well, guess what? That ain't it. This is Crown Champs, baby. Go to crownchampscompany.com. That's crownchampscompany.com. Go check out their wide assortment of items there. And for just $2.99 per person a month, you can rack up points, win weekly challenges, be deemed the king or queen trash talker that helps you win some free merch. If you go to crownchampscompany.com, you can get started. Use the promo code RANK15. Go to crownchampscompany.com. Don't just win your fantasy league, rule it. And also, got to give a shout out to our guy, Big Mike, over at Windy City Sports Cards. Listen, if you're a true fan of Chicago sports, they specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you are a fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, Fire, they have got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. And in addition to their Chicago focus items, they have a wide variety of items from other teams as well. In fact, I know a lot of the kids love LeBron. If you need some LeBron items for whatever reason, Big Mike over at Windy City Sports Cards will help you. Is he a part of Obvious Shirts too? Because I don't know if I should be showing that. Getting some merch from Obvious Shirts. I don't know. They're everybody's friends, though. Everybody's friends. But Big Mike is the way to go. Windy City Sports Cards. Love them. I just had a card. Oh, wait. Where was it?
This was the one he sent me in right before the Cubs. Little Ben Johnson and Craig Console. He just sent me that one. And I was like, wow. Yeah, love that.
Pretty dope. Pretty dope.
Big Mike's the best. Shout out to the Ben Johnson chasing him at the airport. It was me and Big Mike.
That was one of the funnest days ever. I just remember usually I'm okay with like being out here on the West Coast following along. I'm like, oh, I would love to be out at that airport chasing all that stuff down. Also, one of the things I loved about the Bears this weekend was their ability. They didn't necessarily kill it running the football, but there was a sequence where they were committed to running the ball, 11 consecutive rushing attempts in the long drive there in the third quarter. Ben talked about it. Funny enough, he told reporters he didn't even realize what was going on in the moment. Sam, let's take a listen to that.
I didn't even know. Like, I'm serious. In the moment, I didn't know it was 19 plays, and I didn't know there was 11 runs in a row. That was something that I found out after the game, and I kind of alluded to it a couple times. We did that long drive drill over the course of training camp where you guys were probably watching, like, oh my gosh, this is sloppy football to end practice. But really there was a intent behind it that went against maybe the execution and more about the grit and the grind that goes into some of these games, getting our conditioning level up. And so the guys dug deep for that. I know that our guys were feeling it, but there's something about when you look across the ball and you see, the opposition equally fatigued that brings out that competitive spirit, and you want to finish that drive with points.
Yeah, I'm a maniac about watching the time of possession, long drives, things of that nature. What did you make of that? Because I thought that was that to me is a bigger statement than going out there and running a flea flicker, because that's the kind of stuff where you're exerting your will on an opponent. What was your takeaway from that drive?
I can't even remember the last time a Bears offense did that. That was my first takeaway. I was like, holy cow, we are chewing up so much time. We have the lead. This is how you win ball games because everyone else does it against us. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why can't the Bears do this in clock management? And Ben Johnson's so locked in, so knowledgeable, knows ball so well. He said, he's like, I didn't even realize it, but that is exactly what you do. And Adam, the crazy part is the Bears didn't even own time of possession for the game. They didn't. Dallas owned time of possession, still lost that game. And the Bears just able to, that was their best rushing attack of the day. Not saying it was great by any means. I mean, the Bears rushing attack isn't the best in the NFL at the moment, especially when Caleb Williams is the leading rusher on this team. That being said, it was also Ben controlling the clock and finding out what's working for this offense and what's not. We haven't been able to establish to run the first two games. You throw your team out there, you're going to the right side, you're going to the left side, you're trying different running plays to finally get things moving forward. And clearly it's working enough to obviously chew up as much time as they did. That right there sent a statement that the Bears are smarter, they are better coached, and they're not afraid to let it be known to teams that we might make this game boring. We might just own the clock for a while. Whatever's working to get us to win, that's what we want to do. And that's something that the Bears have always been lacking confidence. The second, and I talked about it earlier, how the Bears mentally had to overcome the Detroit game. They overcame the Detroit game, showing that they had the bigger cojones than the Dallas Cowboys by doing a move like that, along with the rest of the game. That's what I loved about that entire sequence. And then obviously Ben being able to put up 31 points, that being a part of it was just even the sweeter part of the deal for the Bears.
Yeah, and I think when you factor in the flea flicker, which is one of the reasons why I think the time of possession was the way that it was, is because when you score on one play like that, that's going to take you're not going to put a lot of time in the clock. But I feel like the flea flicker also showed a lot of grit, especially when things weren't necessarily going so great. I think the most impressive thing to me too, and I don't know if you noticed this, the throw back, DeAndre Swift really lofted. I don't know if he was hit by somebody, but he really lofted the ball into the air, and it felt like it hung up there for about an hour. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody's going to pick this or return it, or something Chicago-y is going to happen. Instead, Caleb makes that throw. But one of the things that impressed me the most about that was that, and we've seen Caleb hurry up when he's been panicked or rushed, and you know that his internal clock was going off at that point. But he stepped up and made a great throw. And I think if you ever want to see one play that was indicative of the growth that Caleb has made over the last 18 months, I think that play was it. How do you feel?
That was, in my opinion, Caleb's most confident throw in the NFL. He, like you said, was under a ton of pressure. That ball was up there. I think they said for 2.5 seconds, practically was a free throw in basketball. And when he got it, Caleb actually, he had to pull it down and readjust it in order to throw it, obviously, so he'd have the laces on his hand. And that took time up too. Just how smart he was there in the step into the throw. It was perfectly thrown. It wasn't an overthrow, wasn't underthrown. Caleb's adrenaline, his internal instincts clicked in right there. And that's why he was able to make that type of play. And right there, that's for him a signal that he can do anything in the NFL. That's where he's going to start going to the next level. He's not going to overthink. I was just watching Top Gun Maverick a couple days ago, and the quote, "Don't think, just do." That's what Caleb's going to start doing. He's going to think a lot less. He's just going to do what he knows and what he's been trained to do and practice to do. And that's what's going to make him so much more dangerous. And we saw it on Sunday, 4 touchdowns, 298 yards passing. didn't get the 77% completion, but his highest passer rating ever of 142.6. And that was the first thing Ben called out in the locker room during his giving away of the game ball to Caleb Williams, talking about those stats. And it's kind of like when you're watching, the stock market or something like that. Like Caleb started right here, kind of was going. And then the second after that throw, you saw his confidence just absolutely skyrocket. So huge moment for him in order to help maybe even change this Bears season for the better.
Yeah, and it also makes sense too, because I don't know how you felt about them going for it on fourth down and the touchdown that ultimately goes to DJ Moore. When you're starting to stack those confident plays up, it makes more sense to go for it on fourth down than when they did in week one. Is that just a byproduct of Ben Johnson just learning and getting more comfortable in his role as the season continues to go on?
Totally. I mean, Ben Johnson, every press conference has talked about the mistakes that he has made. And he said week one, there was a lot of gut reactions that he made, wasn't listening to other individuals, was kind of just going with what he felt was best. And he's realizing as a head coach that he's no longer a coordinator. He is the one that makes all the final decisions. And like a CEO, like a boss at a corporation or anything like that, you need to take into factor everyone and what they're saying in their experience as well. And you've seen the growth in Ben Johnson in these type of decisions moving forward. He still has what he brought over from Detroit, that grit. And if you look at the locker rooms of the Lions and the Bears games, both their wins, which incredible win last night for the Lions. Got to give a hat tip to them. Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell, same energy, same mentality. Dan Campbell was not a good head coach at first. It took him a ton of learning, and he didn't have a mentor like, a Dan Campbell himself to Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson didn't have a Dan Campbell didn't have a former head coach in Dennis Allen on the sideline that can help out with some of those little things that Dennis Allen, fired twice as a head coach, could look out for. Like, this is not what you want to do. And we're only going to see that progress more and more as the weeks go on.
Not to come off as a hater, but I feel like when I was watching the Lions last night, I'm like, did Ben Johnson leave some plays in the copier? And the Lions are like, oh, look what we found. Like, there's no way they came up with that on their own. Those are leftovers that Ben Johnson's playbook. They kept it. Obviously, that was property of the Lions, and Johnny Morton's looking like, oh, look at these plays. I wonder how many more of those that they have left. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to come off as a hater. Hat tip to the Lions in that respect. I do. What about? Before we get out of here, I do want to ask you a little bit about the defense. Now, obviously, you hold the Cowboys to 14 points. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb was injured. Did the defense turn a corner too, or is that just the Cowboys, not being great?
No, I mean, the defense turned a corner in regards to the pass game, I'll say. 251 yards to Dak, 2 interceptions, both by Tremaine Evans in the fourth quarter. Shout out to him, first Bears linebacker to ever have 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter.
That's
which I
crazy.
thought was pretty clutch. The passing game got a lot better. The pressure, Dominique Robinson getting his first solo sack since his first game in the NFL. A couple of years back, Matt Eberflus was his first win. Montez Sweat finally getting a sack. The pressure, I feel like the Bears are just chipping away at some phases. I talked about it today, actually, is that I felt like game one was like, all right, let's find out everything that we have to work on. All right, well, let's get a few things going. Week 2 against the Lions. All right, we're going to ramp this up. We're going to try one thing at a time. Let's work at Caleb, because obviously that's the big focus here. Week 3, Bears started to focus a little bit more on defense. That's why Tyreek Stevenson had a huge bounce back game. I mean, he was the worst defensive back when targeted entering that game. And then he only allowed a 39.6 passer rating against Dak Prescott, who is a very good quarterback. I don't care what people say. I mean, the stats don't lie. He's a very solid quarterback. And, that wide receiver room that Dallas has, I mean, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, which out for 6 to 8 weeks. Noah decided to really mess up some fantasy owners' lineups with that tackle right there. But the Bears defense, passing-wise, did a lot better. I mean, 251 yards to Dak, who came off almost a 400-yard game the week before against the New York Giants. Pretty good. But the running game, I'm still super concerned about. I mean, they were averaging 9.6 yards per carry before halftime. It went down to 7.4, I think. I'm trying to remember the stats in my head. but it got better in the second half. But also they were going much more passing attack in the second half because they were running out of time. They had to make up bigger chunks of plays, even though the running game was working for them. So the Bears need to find a way, especially missing TJ Edwards, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, all solid run stopping at their own respective position. They need to find that next gear to stop the run in order to make things happen. So turning a corner in some areas of the defense, not all of them yet. I think week 4 against the Raiders, not the greatest opponent to go against from a challenging perspective. I think the Bears, hopefully Dennis Allen will try to be a little bit more aggressive, get the defensive line's confidence up a little bit against the run, pressure on the quarterback. I think that's going to be next week. So half turned a corner. I think they're peeking their head around it at the moment.
Well, I really like this quote from Tyreek Stevenson, and this is something that Courtney Cronin brought in. He said when he was asked, how were you able to take the ball away from Javonte Williams? He said, I just realized he didn't want it. Like he didn't want the ball. When he was running with it, they preached ball security. I kind of saw that as he was looking for the block, I was just like, he don't want it, so I'm just going to take it, pretty much. I love this attitude. This is something that we saw in the joint practices, especially in the one against the Miami Dolphins when all the Miami media was upset that the Bears were too mean. This is the kind of attitude that they need to take going into Las Vegas, is going out there and taking it to them. Now, obviously, Ashton Genty struggled so far this season. So don't let this be the game that Ashton Genty goes off. And you also have Max Crosby on the other side of the line this game. So Braxton Jones, who looked really well, we got to go out there and shore that up and make sure that the progression continues for Braxton Jones. And by the way, I want to remind everybody, obviously that game is in Las Vegas. It's going to be a 3:00 start time, 3:25 actually, there in Chicago. Where are you going to watch the game? And if you're looking for a place, might I recommend Twisted Shamrock, the place to be on game day if you were a true fan of Chicago sports. We're talking about, again, Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, Fire, all the Chicago teams. If you were a true fan, you will be at Twisted Shamrock. They've got monster screen TVs in their private party rooms. They've got a bunch of TVs over the bar. They got a stellar patio, which again, it's getting dodgy now. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's not, but still the patio is epic. It is such a fun place to be on game day. Great crowd, great staff, great specials, and of course the best old fashioned this side from the entirety of the Midwest. The best old fashioned is at Twisted Shamrock, the place to be on game day if you're a fan of Chicago sports. So before we let you get out of here, and let's take a turn and take a quick look at week 4, the Las Vegas Raiders, who just dropped one to the Commanders. You looks like you can run on this team. Looks like you can throw on this team. What is your expectation for the Bears in week 4?
Do what you did last week and do it again. Because this opponent is a lot, like you were saying, this is a team you can run against. Yeah. You get that big 11-run drive right there for Chicago. Do that again. Run out the clock. Get the running game going. Get the confidence in the offensive line from a running perspective, because they have it from a passing. Run the ball as much as you can. Get DeAndre Swift going. Use Caleb, obviously, as much as you want, but also I want to see Colston Loveland more involved. I know he left the game early with that hip injury, but Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet, Bears should be throwing over the middle over and over when they are passing attack. Let those guys get some confidence, understand the playbook better. Let Caleb feel that I have even more targets to throw to, and that's only going to help unlock the wide receivers on the outside for a trick play like a flea flicker, or for Caleb to go deep again because he has passing time from the offensive line. And if the Bears can just put Colston Love and Cole Kmet with Braxton Jones on Max Crosby, I think this offense is going to have a field day against them. From a defensive perspective, just send the house every time. Seriously. I mean, their offensive line has not looked good, even though on paper their offensive line is impressive last season. This year, they have not gelled together so well so far. Bears can take advantage of it. I'd like to see maybe Grady Jarrett, with leadership, kind of call out where people can go. Guide Jervon Dexter, Shamar Turner, who did get some action against the Cowboys. Hopefully he gets a little bit more going. But Bears have an opportunity here to really just continue to gain confidence, try things out, look for what's wrong, and they could have a really nice game against the Raiders this upcoming Sunday.
Yeah, last year, monster game against Jacksonville in London, go on the road to face the Commanders. It did not work out. Can't have that again. They got to go out there and show this on the road, win or lose. I mean, I certainly want the team to win, but you got to go out there and have your best effort against this team. This is where Ben Johnson can really show me something. Go out there, answer the challenge. You said it yourself, Ben. You're behind the 8 ball being 1-2. Go out there, have this team prepared and ready to go, and we should see a Chicago Bears victory. Then they would be leveled up going into the bye week, 2-2, pretty much on the pace. A lot of people, even the most optimistic Bears fans, were like, if they're 2-2 at the break, they're going to be looking to be in good shape. So that to me is where we want to go, where we want to be. By the way, quick shout out to our friends Huel protein powder. By the way, this has been a tough day for me. Again, these last couple of days, trying to jam in all these shows, Fantasy Live, the After Hour with Jim Rome, and of course, all these great podcasts that we've been doing. Thanks to Huel for keeping me going. What are these bottles? 400 calories, 35 grams of protein. I know my voice doesn't, my voice would sound much worse if it wasn't for our friends at Huel. If you could go to huel.com/sickbears, you can get 15% off your order. Listen, don't go to Costco and just buy, no, order that, have them deliver this to your house. You will not be disappointed. Huel, listen, I've been doing protein powders for years. The very best that I've ever had. Please check it out. I implore you. And I'm talking to you, Captain Scott Winks. But listen, I almost called you Jay. Nick, thank you so much for being. No, we love this. We love doing this with you. We love getting your perspective and everything on everything Chicago Bears. We're starting to actually figure out too. It's looking more and more like I think I am going to be able to come out to Chicago at the end of the fall there in December. That game against the Cleveland Browns, which I'm not taking as like it's an easy game that we will win, no. but just based on how much it would cost to fly. Like I was trying to come out for the Pittsburgh game, and it's like $500 one way. You're like, okay, maybe we won't be doing that, but still, try to figure that out. So I'll let everybody know. Keep everybody posted on that. But Nick, thank you so much. Go out and check out Just Another Year Chicago. Nick's been putting out great content every day. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, please go like and subscribe his channel because he puts out a ton of great stuff, and it's a lot of fun. Follow him on the social media handles as well. So that's all I got for you today, Nick. Thank you so much for being here. So for Nick, I'm Adam. Bear down, and Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.